Okay guys, and we're back, just working out a couple of little kinks here behind the scenes. As they always say, a couple of little issues always sort of strike, they don't strike in practice, but they do strike in the event itself. So just having a look now at the guys who are still running around under pace car conditions. Just one point of note as well, that we had Dave Douglas actually have some issues and joined the server late after the start of the race, and he just actually got the lucky dog on the last on his caution that's come out and gained one of those laps back. So he now sits 2 laps down in 38th position, and he's going to be hoping for another couple of cautions to allow him to get that time back. So he's got a pretty big mountain to climb, but certainly not impossible as we've seen before. Now, lights on the pace car are out at the moment, so you can see everyone forming up 2 by 2 as directed by the race control. So they will start odd numbers on the inside, even numbers on the outside, and they're going to get ready to go again.
Yeah, we rack them up and set them loose again, and we'll see how far we can get this time. We've still got pretty much everybody up the racetrack. I don't even know if anybody's retired yet.
Yeah, I don't believe there's been any retirements so far as I can see. We have got Nicholas Walsh 5 laps down. He's potentially a retirement. I can't actually see him. He is actually in the pit lane, so maybe getting some repairs. I did actually see a puff of smoke a little bit earlier on while we were watching some of the leaders. They sort of came round to pass him. He was on the apron, so obviously earlier on in the race he's had a little bit of an issue. He's only showing us 3 laps scored for him at the moment, so I imagine he's got a bit of damage there, so I imagine he had something, but it didn't actually bring the caution flag out. So as they come now down into, I believe it's turn 3 and 4, they're going to be getting ready for a start. You can see the talking boys on the outside there, Dodd getting right up there behind Mitchell McLeod, and likewise Dwayne Priest on the inside getting right up behind Ryan Jones. A little bit of a gap back to the Alliance boys. They're just keeping a little bit further back and playing a little bit safe as well. So they're just about to get let loose again, and here they go. We're going to see the pace car drop down, and there it goes. And Ryan Jones now becomes the pace car. The field is under his control, and he has gone. He's gone straight away, and has pulled a little bit of a gap, which you almost don't want to do here because you lose that draft. The 2 tall trucks as ever staying absolutely glued together, and they've got a bit of a nice run together on the outside. The rest of the field, of course, trying to just find their place and find somewhere safe to actually get their race underway once more.
And that one guy, Braden Boulos, has found his way into the top 10 already, so milestone complete there. He's in the first 10 laps. He's come from the back to the front.
He may have, I'm not sure if that's just been from some fantastic driving or potentially took 2 tyres at the pit stop there while we were just away with a couple of small issues there. So, yeah, he's definitely playing himself into contention nicely, whether by strategy or speed, and just sitting there in that low line trying to make his way forward, but also try and not pick up any damage, because the slightest bit of damage on these trucks, and there goes your aero. And as you probably appreciate, aero is absolutely everything around here. You can see the 2 tall trucks working together. They've got Daniel Stevens there right up behind them as Boulos makes a switch to the top lane, and for good reason, because that lane is well and truly moving forward. Pioneered by the 2 tall trucks there at the front with Daniel Stevens, and behind them got the number 15 of Ricky Cornwall sitting up behind Stevens as well, with Boulos behind him. And that top line is the one that's moving forward at the moment, with Ryan Jones just ahead there of Dwayne Priest. Also number 42 Brett Hender having a good run. We haven't seen Brett out too much as that bottom line starts to move forward a little bit once more. I haven't seen too much of Brett so far in this Anzcar series, but he's out there tonight and he's way up in front of the field as well, so he's going to be absolutely thrilled with that. And once again, the bottom line has started to move forward, and they are once again in Stevens at the front.
Yeah, so what you'll see is the top line down the straight, as you see there. Dodman pushes McLeod. So the top line's basically getting the run off the corner. They haven't got their steering bound left as much as the inside, so the inside moves quicker, through the corners. Obviously, the shorter way around the racetrack, and the top line will sort of get the run for having more acceleration and more speed.
Yeah, Absolutely. So quite often you'll see it on the other types of tracks as well, where that outside line will really get good exits from the corners, but of course the bottom lane's got a shorter way around. So two different ways of doing it, and really you've pretty much got to run where you can, run where you've got space. Notice Bullis has actually fallen off the back of these guys and fallen way back in the pack. I'm not quite sure what's happened in there, but he's fallen from, he was definitely in the top 10. Yeah, he's definitely outside the top 10 now, I would say. He's dropped down to 16th place, so something's gone very wrong there for the championship leader, but I can't see any damage there on that truck. So hopefully that was just a little glitch there. He may have just had to move out of the throttle to help himself save the front end of that truck for some reason, and now he's dropped back. He's going to be working his way forward once again. But we've actually got him going 3 wide at the top now, the number 23 there, Wayne Dillon moving below him. So really, he's dropping like a stone at the moment. But looking back up in front, we've still got Ryan Jones in the lead, and Dwayne Priest sitting in there behind him. Those two are working really well tonight, and they're going to hopefully continue doing that, push themselves through most of the race, looking to stay on the front of the field with the rest of them. Because obviously staying at the front of the field is a great thing, because then you don't get involved in all the wrecks that may happen further back in the back.
And I think Ryan might have just learnt something then. He was on the top line, he was pretty much in control of the 40 and the 26 trucks, and he dived down low to stop that momentum. But the 46 and McLeod and Dodman are basically going to be working together all race, so that we've got a caution on the racetrack. But yeah, those two pushed each other back around the racetrack, and Ryan fell out of the lead.
Yeah, we've got a caution out there. I'm just having to have a quick look to see who it might be that's actually caused that one. Looks like it's Sam Deventia actually. Sam Deventia's got caught up with I think I saw one of the Alliance trucks in there as well. So maybe you can shed some more light on that for us, Dan.
Like Sam's just tried to thread the needle 3 wide into the 920 and another car, and he's just sort of ploughed into the inside wall, and a wreck occurred behind them.
Right, okay, so you can see Sam's now moved into the pits, so he's taken a tow. I think the number 27 there as well. Glenn Ince, he was doing very well, had some very fast times there in practice. Started in 2nd place actually, and has become involved in that wreck as well. So he's brought that smoking number 27 truck back to the pits also. Very unfortunate for those guys. There are a few guys caught up in that, but such is the nature of racing at Daytona.
Yeah, it is just that, one racetracks where if someone wrecks, you're basically going to pile up somebody else's wreck, and there's really no way to avoid it. I mean, you can sort of lay back, but you sort of still got to drive through it. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if you have a look at some of the onboard replays of guys that get involved in these wrecks, not just in sim racing competition, but also in the real thing, they can just be left with nowhere to go. Even Jimmy Johnson got wrecked, I think, 4 times over the Daytona weekend, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, it was about that. Yeah, I think he finally got done at the end, but he still managed to bring that car back for a good finish.
And we've got a few guys heading towards pit road now, not least of which is Ben Doherty. It looks like he's picked up some damage on the front of that number 313 Toyota Tundra. So there's a couple of guys back there sporting little bits of wriggles on the panels, and his isn't in particularly ordinary actually. So he's going to want to get that fixed up as much as humanly possible, because he's not going to be able to carry the speed that he carried earlier on with a bent up truck. So just moving now back towards the lead, it looks as though actually one of the, is it Dodman? Yeah, Hayden Dodman's actually got out in front of Ryan Jones. Brett Douglas in behind there, Mitchell McLeod in behind him. So there's actually been quite a bit of movement amongst those guys in the race off pit road. We can even see that I believe a couple of guys may have actually stayed out as well. We can see the 777, that was Dwayne Priest, he was way up in front, so he's stayed out, and also the 013 of Aaron Dillon, very similarly painted Toyota Tundra there, and he's right up behind his teammate. So they've tried to play a little bit of team tactics there, stay out, and they will start off the race in front of the field with a couple of others.
And it's probably not a bad strategy. I mean, it's still a one-stop race from here. So yeah, being out front That'll keep you out of the mess, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got Phil Otto there actually heading up the pack at the moment, but he's just diving down pit road, so I'm assuming that's happened because he's actually a lap down. He wasn't able to pit the first time around. So that means that Dwayne Priest will actually assume the lead of this race, sitting there, as mentioned, in front of his teammate Aaron Dillon. Looks as though he's actually got Will Barrington for company behind him as well, so he'll be another guy who did not pit. And then we've got the first of the pitters, Mitchell McLeod, Hayden Dodman, as we mentioned, in that Torque Inc. Toyota Tundra, just ahead of Ryan Jones, the former leader, Brett Douglas, and Mitchell McLeod, as mentioned, in behind them. So not too much. I don't think there's going to be too much performance difference between these guys. Perhaps on the start, when you really need that traction pulling away. But I can't see that there's going to be too much performance difference between those two guys in front on the warm tyres versus the guys behind them. So maybe not a bad strategy call, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I think the tyres will start to show, probably after 40 laps. And I mean, I'm pretty sure they could probably go the whole distance tonight without changing tyres, and I'm sure some of them will try that. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it does get a bit loose there towards the end of 80 laps. Slippery. But I'm sure these guys will change their tyres when they decide to pit.
Yeah, just having a look further down the field, we still have 31 trucks on the lead lap, but we have got a few guys who are sitting a lap down. We've got Phil Otto, who you saw involved in that earlier wreck. Chris Purnell, who I believe got involved in this latest one. We've got Glenn Ince, who we saw in the pit lane there. We've also got Dave Douglas, who was 2 laps down. Now he's recovered to 1 lap down. And then, of course, we've got Sam DeVenti, who I believe is still sat on pit road. And I believe Matthew Clowett in the 54, he's still down there on pit road as well. So a couple of guys not having a very good night, but it's a long night's racing, so well worth getting back out there and going for another run. So just moving back to, I guess, the front of the pack at the moment. Dwayne Priest, Aaron Dillon, teammates, as we mentioned, but they're going to be starting side by side, not line astern as they want to. So I wonder if they will actually try and orchestrate this start to allow Dwayne Priest to get the jump and allow Dillon to actually slot in behind him. Hopefully that Will Barrington doesn't get away quite as well. I know a few teams have used that tactic in the past to line up their team cars when they're running 1-2 like that. Interesting to see whether they're going to try that particular tactic, because I guarantee you they're in communication with one another.
Yeah, I think the last time we saw that was at Talladega this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, but I can't remember who that was. But in any case, it'll be interesting to see if these guys actually try that. So they are sitting there side by side at the moment, as they are supposed to do. And those two, we haven't really got too many teammates together, actually. We've got the 2 Talking trucks. They've been separated. We've got a couple of Alliance Sim Sport trucks up there. They've been separated as well. So I don't think there's going to be as much drive to get forward as there is drive to try and sort themselves out and actually get up behind their teammates once again.
No, and certain drivers prefer different lines. I mean, some guys like the top, some like the bottom. So now that all these cars are sort of spread out all over the place, it'll be interesting to see if they can find each other again.
Yeah, it's always a bit of an effort. It's always a bit frustrating if you can see your teammate there and you just can't quite get to them. That, of course, is what Superspeedway racing is all about, as we mentioned earlier on, running as a team. And we've also got Dan Stevens up there as pretty much the lone middle finger racing truck up front at the moment. He hasn't got too much of a either. So it's going to be every man for themselves at first, at the very least, with the exception of those top 2 who've got to try to get in behind one another, I imagine. And pace car dropping down at the moment. Dwayne Priest is going to take control. I imagine he's probably going to go quite early. Let's see if he does. He does that indeed. And look what happens. Aaron Dillon just trying to get that gap. And he's not going to be able to do it. Has he done it? Yes, he has finally done it. He looked as though he hesitated a little bit. He certainly didn't want to turn his teammate around, but they've actually managed to get those 2 trucks line astern now, which is exactly what they wanted to do. And they're going to be able to dictate the race from the front. I believe we're probably likely to see Mitchell McLeod, just you can see him there in the number 40. He's got to probably pull up in a moment to try and get up behind Dodman. No, he doesn't. Ryan Jones goes there instead, so he's going to be pinned to the bottom, leaving Dodman to fight his lone Talking truck there up front. But he does have Ryan Jones pushing him, which is just as good. So, yeah, as back to where we were in a slightly different order. But I think in the short term, at the very least, a great move by Dillon and Priest.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to pay dividends as the longer this run gets. We're just got to see if they can keep it down there, or if they try the high side and try and block the high side or not. Not too sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're going to be that aggressive. Certainly not this early on in the race. We are only on lap 20 of 80 at the moment, so I imagine they're going to be quite happy to sit there and obviously collect the point for leading the lap and everything else, and just try to stay there as long as they can. I don't think we're going to see too much blocking or anything else, although I've been wrong before. So let's see what kind of tactics those two employ. Certainly nobody else no one else up front, at least in the as they go 3 wide there. To play the kind of team tactics that we may have seen earlier on in the race. We had all those teams running together, but you can see Hayden Dodman has made that move. We did see Ryan Jones just trying to get to his outside. That didn't actually quite come off, and now it's just falling a little way behind. But Dodman's going to want him back up there as quick as possible, because the more distance he falls behind, the less drafting benefit he's going to get. So you'd almost most likely see Dodman fall back towards him rather than Jones catch him. But you can see they're sort of rejoining one another now as they run 2 by 2 down the length of the pack nicely.
Yeah, and Will Barrington's right in there. He's sticking his nose there. I'm not sure who his alliances are. He might be just out there running on his own, but it doesn't look like Ryan's going to sit behind Hayden there. He's going to have a go at this and try and get up for himself.
Yeah, well, they always say any chance a driver's got to make it 3 wide, he's going to take that on. So let's hope that we don't see the kind of carnage that happened last time. We saw a couple of guys try to go 3 wide there. But they're running through to complete their 21st lap, moving on to the 22nd lap. It is still fairly status quo at the front. Just keeping an eye, I know a few guys are keeping an eye obviously on our championship leader Braden Bullers. He's down in 28th position at the moment. We saw him losing a few spots there a few laps ago, and he's dropped way back to almost outside the top 30. So I'm sure a few of his supporters are going to be wanting to see him get back up front ASAP. Oh dear, Dodman's been turned. Dodman has gone around, and Ryan Jones has gone with him. Oh, this could actually be the big one. McLeod's gone as well. Not sure if I even know where to start to dissect all of that. That was an absolute mess. Mitchell McLeod has gone. Hayden Dodman has gone.
Braden gone.
Yeah, McLeod's got massive damage there as well. Just having a look through some of the other guys, I'm not even sure where that started. I think it started somewhere around Ryan Jones. Maybe just, Daniel, if you can have a look back and sort of fill us in what actually happened there.
Yeah, I'm just having a look now, but yeah, that definitely took out a lot of trucks. It was almost half the field, I think. So it just looks like McLeod and Ryan. Ryan just spins him down into the inside, unfortunately, and that, and then another wreck happened up front, and another wreck happened behind, and this is trucks everywhere.
Yeah, it looks as though Ryan tried to sort of get down into that bottom lane and bounced off Priest and came back up and then got into Dodman. So that's unfortunate for them, and like you say, it's led to a lot of trucks carrying a fair amount of damage there. That's the big one that they talk about. You know, they wait to see, you know, when's the big one going to happen, and there's a lot of damaged trucks out of that as we see Ryan Jones go towards the pit lane now. So yeah, that's just about as bad as it gets. An accident right at the front has damaged quite a lot of trucks there.
Yeah, doesn't that just go to show? I mean, even first, you're not safe.
No, we were talking earlier on about how much safer it was being up the front. You see Phil Otto, Stacey Walker carrying a fair bit of damage there. There's quite a few guys that got involved in that. I believe both talking trucks were involved in that. They've been a force. Aaron Dillon, who was running up there with his teammate, he's carrying a whole lot of damage on the front. His truck's a mess. They're all sort of heading down the pit lane now. Wayne Pingilly's carrying damage. Matt Clowen still in the pit lane. Yeah, a lot of guys who had excellent races going on. I can see Brett Hander with a fairly badly damaged front end there as well. Yeah, just such a big shame for all those guys. There are some very, very competitive trucks that were taken out in that. And the lottery of Daytona comes back to strike again.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, trucks torn up everywhere. I mean, some of these guys actually might get away with their damage, especially in a pack. You won't really feel it as much as when you sort of get out in clean air. That's when you feel the noticeable difference of speed between a damaged truck and a clean truck.
Yeah, So also Braden Goulis has actually just left the server as well, so he was caught up in that. Obviously irreparable damage for him, so he's not going to keep his 100% record victories alive tonight. But one guy who's fairly new to Anzcar competition, actually, he's running the Alliance Sim Sports team, and is Ricky Cornwall. And he actually managed to navigate all that, as did Daniel Stevens. And Ricky's actually leading the race now, so I'm not sure if this is the first time he's led an Anzcar race. I think it probably is, except if I believe he may have led in the street stock race that we held a little bit earlier on in the, I believe it was last week actually, we held the street stock race. He may have led a heat there, but I think this is the first official big time Anzcar race that he has led. So he's managed to negotiate that carnage. Daniel Stevens has as well. Dwayne Priest. Dwayne was right involved at the epicentre of all that. He's got a bit of a ripple on the back end of the truck and a bit of ripple on the front, but he may be okay. And we've also got Kevin Bomford sitting there in the other Alliance Sim Sports truck. He's up there. We've got Raymond Yeager, who's up there. His truck's looking pretty clean. And Brett Douglas, yet another Alliance Sim Sports truck. He's sitting there in 9th position, but he's actually pretty clean as well. So a few guys managed to pull through, and a few very fancy runners dropping out in that one. So that's the big one. Hopefully we don't see another one of that kind of magnitude, but certainly a lot of very, very competitive and dangerous drivers were eliminated in that one.
Yeah, that's just brought a lot of people up to the front. I mean, Wayne Pangilli coming 7th at the moment, so, you know, this just gets all them sort of guys excited that wouldn't normally see the front here, and they're up here now and they've got a shot at it. Now yeah, we'll see how they do.
Sorry to talk across you. Wayne Pingilli's carrying a fair amount of damage there on the front, so
yeah,
I'm not sure how much space he's going to have. John Schultz is in there, in behind him. He's in the number 41 truck, and he's carrying a fair bit of damage as well. But I think just about everybody from back there, there's quite a few very clean Alliance Sim Sport trucks. Ryan Jones actually got out of that pretty well, given his part in it. He's got a little bit of a ripple on his tailgate, but the front of the truck's actually looking pretty good, which is the main thing for him. So he may still have some pace in the Race on Oz truck. You can see their Race on Oz Chevy Silverado, the number 11, who we saw running up the front earlier on. And his truck doesn't look too bad, which for a guy who played a central role in that wreck may aggrieve a couple of people, but he's not looking too bad at all. So he may have the ability to actually push his way back up to the front once more. He's only in 12th position, so he's going okay. And that's row 6 once they all get started again, so he's certainly not too far from the lead at all. So once we all go green again, it's all going to kick off again, and hopefully we're able to keep things a little bit more civilised and get some green flag laps under the belt, and let's see some of these strategies play out as we go one to go this time.
And even though the 33 truck's a bit beat up, I really do enjoy that DuPont scheme, Jeff Gordon scheme, number 33 car.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon, tragic, just in case anybody watching wasn't aware. Danny G, probably Jeff Gordon's biggest fan. But just taking a look at the way this field is lining up as well, you can see once again, you know, we talked about how the teams were split up. Well, look what team's together again. Look at that bottom row. We've got the Alliance Sim Sport trucks, 1, 2, 3, 4, all lined up on that inside row, and that's going to give them a massive boost as far as being able to work together. We've got actually 3 of them running in a row on that low side, and compared to the guys up the top that aren't running with teammates, they're probably not in communication with one another. Excuse me. That's actually going to give those guys a big help running on the bottom row together like that.
Yeah, well, I can count 5 of them in the top 10 here. These blue and yellow trucks, so they're definitely going to be working together. And Daniel Stevens up the front. He was the Anzcar Daytona 500, so he's not new to this sort of racing, and he does fairly well at it. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah, certainly knows his way around a super speedway, Daniel Stevens. Knows his way around a road course as well and can drive just about anything. So we'll see what he can do up here. I'm sure he wouldn't mind having a couple of his MFR teammates get up there with him, but he will hold the fort down for as long as he can. But as we come to the green right now, we've got Ricky Cornwall leading them away. He's going to take the field under control, and they're actually those Alliance Sim Sport trucks. I can't wait to get going. They're bumping one another on that bottom row, and now they're away. Probably not the perfect team start from their point of view. but it has allowed that fourth truck to actually get back down there and form that line of four. They're actually all ganged up on the bottom there against Daniel Stevens and Rodney Morris running around the outside. Rodney Morris, where does he come from as well? He was not really figuring too high up. I believe he qualified in 38th position, now sitting there in 4th. And you can actually see that top pack start to really gap the field behind. And I'm not sure if that's because it's kind of the clean trucks versus the damaged trucks at the moment. But these guys, most of which are running without any significant damage at all. And we did mention Wayne Gilly leading that other line, and he was struggling with a bit of damage. But they've actually started to reclose on them now. One of those talking trucks back in there as well. I believe that might be Hayden Robbins actually regained his position on the track, and it's going to try and push that damaged truck home as best as it can. As they're getting very, very aggressive down towards the back end of this leading pack. I'm sure they're going to want to stay clear of any potential issues, but at the same time, they're all here to race, and they really need to get up the front together. So yeah, I imagine we're going to get some team tactics on that bottom row. I don't think we're going to see too much of those guys actually abandoning that position as we now get the 5th Alliance Sports truck drop down to the bottom. Hayden Dotman just sticking his nose down there before deciding he'd rather be up high. And we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all in a line fighting those guys on the top.
Yeah, it actually looks good down the bottom there for these team cars. And yeah, I think the only problem that these leaders are going to have is the lap traffic. That obviously all these damaged cars are going to be running slower in front of them, and they're going to be catching lap traffic, and that's just another whole thing to try and organise yourself to get those still racing 2-3 wide, but to also get around those lap cars.
Well, having said that, I mean, we did sort of say Wayne Pingilli carrying a lot of front end damage earlier on, but of course getting up there behind Rodney Morris, he's managing to shelter the front of that truck from the breeze. So it's not really affecting him too much. He's being able to tuck right up there behind. I don't think he's going to run so well in open air, but getting right there tucked up behind the same road with his teammate. We said earlier on that Dan Stevens probably wouldn't mind getting another. Oh, as they touch at the back there, the number 6. Oh, they've actually gone. They've gone. I thought they'd got away with it, but they've actually gone. John Sorensen was involved in that. Not really sure what kicked it off. There are a few guys, I think it was the 38 of Raymond Yeager, tried to get in the middle, and he's actually just bounced off a couple of times, actually, Sorensen. He's come back up, collected Yeager, collected Jones, and collected the 76 of Brett Douglas as well. Yeah,
it looks like Yeager's just tried to squeeze in the middle there, and it just didn't work out for him, as we've seen throughout the night. It was unlucky for the 64. He was just a passenger through all that, and that took out another group of race cars.
Yeah, that's a shame. There almost just wasn't the space for that. I mean, it's easy to say in 2020 hindsight when you're not actually behind the wheel of the truck, but it looked as though they touched and they'd actually gotten away with it. But then he's kind of rubbed the rear bumper of Sorensen and actually turned him around as well. So, yeah, big shame for those guys. And just having a look now, everyone's sort of lined up now behind the pace car. The guys who were involved in that are going to be sort of recovering their positions. Some are going to go straight. I imagine most will go straight to the pit lane, actually, try and get the most repairs done under caution as possible. Ricky Cornwall now still sitting out front, but the ranks of the Alliance SimSport team have been depleted quite significantly with that. 2 of their trucks involved in that. So Ricky, there are a couple of teammates further back, but Ricky fighting a bit of a lone battle up front here at the moment. Just watching a couple of cars peel off to the pits. The leader hasn't done so. Ricky Cornwall staying out on the track. Dan Stevens doing the same. Rodney Morris also doing the same. Now we did have, I believe, the ability to have a chat to some of these guys in the race itself. So we might actually try and cross to probably not the best time actually to grab Brett Douglas, who was actually involved in that, but he is one of our commentators here on Performance Streaming. So you might just try and grab him into cross to him into his truck at the moment and see if he's got any view on that latest accident. Brett, Edward here from the Performance streaming commentary box. Not the scenario under which we actually wanted to cross to you. We wanted to cross to you in better circumstances, but maybe you're able to just give us a bit of a run through of what happened in that incident.
Yeah, look, Edward, how you going? I'm not really sure what happened, to be honest. It all happened pretty quick. Someone came across from the right-hand side and just took my front off. I haven't had a good look at what happened or anything like that. But look, I mean, the track was fast before that, and there was some pretty good solid racing up front. And yeah, anyway, I'm still sort of in a little bit of shock, so to speak.
Yeah, so just looking at, we actually just can see your truck down there on pit road at the moment. Looks as though it's fairly well bent up, and obviously your teammate got involved in that as well. John Sorensen got involved in that, along with Raymond Yeager and a couple of others that sort of piled in as well. So are you going to try and get it fixed again, get back out, or is that pretty much day done for you?
Oh, look, no, I've got about 2.5 minutes of repairs left, so I intend going back out. Look, I mean, we had 5 trucks up in the top line then, so we've got fast trucks, we've got solid things, but yeah, look, I mean, it's going to be a bit harder from this point forward, but we'll give it a go.
Okay, and your teammate Ricky Cornwall still sat up there in first place at the moment, not having the team support that he did have before that incident up there with him, but he's also got Kevin Montford up there with him, so not looking too bad for you Alliance boys, despite what's happened to a couple of you tonight.
Oh, absolutely, and between Ricky and Kevin, they're very quick. They've got a little bit of experience behind them now, so I think they'll do quite fine up there if they can keep their heads and follow a decent strategy. But I guess it comes down to whether lap cars get in the way a little bit later, or any number of things could happen, as we just saw. I thought I was pretty safe, but it just seems Daytona, hey.
Yeah, certainly is, and now sort of faced with the prospect of being one of those lap cars, getting back there out on the track. Are you going to try anything to help your teammate out, or are you going to just try and stay well out of the way?
Oh, look, Edward, I'll try to stay out of the way of most people. If I can help one of the guys, I will. I'm not sure what sort of speed I'll have after the repairs are done. So we'll see what happens when I come back out in a couple of minutes, and if I can help, I will.
All right, no worries. Well, best of luck, and thanks for chatting to us.
Thanks very much. No problems. Anytime.
Right, so that was Brett Douglas in the number 76 Toyota Tundra, still sat on pit road, unfortunately for him, involved in that last incident. But as we did mention, a teammate of his, Ricky Cornwall, still sitting up there in first place. One of the few undamaged trucks still running around there out in front. Daniel Stevens having an excellent run. He's going to start out alongside him. So Daniel, looking at the field as it is now, large amount of very strong contenders, leading contenders have been sort of hobbled, if not completely taken out of the race. So the big teams that we saw out there together, they're obviously depleted now in many cases. So what are you expecting to see on this restart?
Well, at the moment I'm just checking out Hayden Donovan. He seems to be in the grass, but on the restart it's going to be interesting. I mean, you've got these guys like Phil Otter. He was in an earlier wreck and he's back sort of up there now. He wasn't too damaged. I think pretty sure I seen his truck up there, so he's going to get back in the show, and hopefully Pengilly can get behind Dan Stevens. You got the 2 Alliance guys up there. They're going to have to work together. Wayne Priest. Anything's on. I mean, we're not even halfway through this race. I'm sure it's still got a lot to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And also looking, mentioning Dwayne Priest earlier on, he sort of got away with that incident. His teammate Aaron Dillon, who was running with him right up front there, certainly did not. He's carrying a fair bit of damage up front, but seemed to have reasonable sort of pace anyway, just before that most recent caution came out. So maybe those two will be able to get back up there again together and start to work together. But certainly I think Alliance Sim Sport are going to be very happy that they've put so many trucks in this race, because it's just almost become a numbers game. We've seen 6 of them take the start, I believe it was 6 or even 7 of them take the start, and we're left with 2 up front, so one sort of lurking a bit further back in the pack. So we're about to go green again. You can see Ricky Cornwall just going to take control of this field as the pace car pulls away, and he is most likely about to jump. There he goes, and Daniel Stevens jumping right along with him as they lead off under green once more.
And it looks like Daniel Stevens will pull up in turn 1 side by side, and these guys are going to go 3 wide behind him with Pengilly. He wants to get on the back of Daniel Stevens here and give his teammate a push down the back stretch, and it looks like he's just going to get away with it.
Oh, hell of a time to be taking a risk right there after the kind of things we've seen, but he's definitely got that done. So We've got two middle finger racing cars running together there on the outside as Dodman goes right below the apron trying to force a move there on Rodney Morris. He's not going to get that done. You can't get it done down there anyway. That's completely illegal. And Wayne Pingilly's going to get right up there. He's got to do his best to get up behind Dan Stevens and push him towards the front. And who's got together? Sort of at the back there, you can see those two Alliance trucks both up there together as well, as Hayden Dodman slots in behind Dan Stevens, splitting those two MFR trucks and now going to make it 3 wide around the outside. I think he's had enough of being behind other people, but he really needs somebody to work with him if he's going to get that move done.
That was actually really good awareness by Dodman there to back off under the yellow line. There's a lot of people out there that probably wouldn't have, and they would have been penalised at the end of the race for it, but now he got out of the way and did the right thing.
Yeah, well, Dodman's been around long enough now to know what's allowed and what's not, kind of things he can get away with.
Oh.
Just speaking of that, he's actually touched up Dan Stevens, and Dan's done a fantastic job to hold on to that and resume the lead of the race. Not sure if that was Dodman just trying to send him a bit of a message that he's holding him up, or whether or not it was a genuine mistake, but a bit of bump drafting perhaps that went wrong. But yeah, Dan did a fantastic job to actually hold that, and he's got to cross the line remaining in the lead, and very fortunately so.
He did a great job. He was wrecked at least twice during that, and it looks like Dodman's going on the inside here in turn 1, and we clips him again, and they're wrecking.
Oh dear. And Stevens looks as though he's come out of that with minimal damage, but that was, I don't want to say it, but I think that was actually fairly unnecessary. Obviously, really easy to say not being in these trucks, but I think that was actually something that probably didn't need to happen at this stage of the race.
No, not at all. It just looks like Dodman gets on the inside. I don't know if Dan didn't see him or didn't anticipate that, but yeah, there wasn't enough room down on the inside, and a couple of other trucks now have caught the consequences of that.
Yeah, Rodney Morris is blowing smoke as well, so that's unfortunate for him. And there's a few other guys that have come out of that with a fair bit of damage, guys who were really just in some bystanders in that. I think Hayden did manage to get a little bit of an overlap on Stevens, but it's so hard. It's really so difficult to be able to judge that when such fine margins are involved. So big shame for the two of them, and maybe didn't need to happen that soon after the restart.
No, but like on this track, I don't know if some of the viewers are actually aware, but when you're running that close to the other cars, I mean, with the downforce and the aerodynamics, I mean, basically, Dodman almost could have been sucked up into Daniel Stevens. I was just having a look here in the cockpit, and yeah, I mean, there wasn't much to it, but yeah, it probably didn't need to happen that early, but yeah, that's racing at this kind of racetrack.
Yeah, certainly the way it goes. So in any event, Ricky Cornwall, the survivor once more. Dan Stevens looks as though he's copped a little bit of damage on the back of that truck, but it doesn't look like it might not affect him too much. A bit of a ripple in the front as well, but that's certainly not making him any different to any of the other guys out there. There's most of the trucks carrying some damage there now.
Yeah, just as these laps wind down, so do the trucks. So right now you've got even different people up there, sort of at the top there. But yeah, Ricky Cornwell looks good. Daniel Stevens, depending on his damage, I think still going to run quite well. Chris Purnell, kind of sluggish. I'm not too sure. He's Daniel's teammate, and his truck didn't look too bent up the last time I saw it. Hopefully he can get back up there with Wayne, and there's 3 MFI cars up there. Yeah,
so a few teams still with a decent contingent up the front, most of which carrying a bit of damage now. So looks as though the 2 talking trucks have retired from the race, so they won't be taking any further part. They've had more hits than Elvis between them tonight. A couple of a fair bit of damage that they were carrying as well, so not ideal for them. Just keeping an eye on Daniel Stevens in the pits at the moment. It looks as though he's taking tyres, and he's elected not to fix too much of that damage, come back out. So what we might actually do is we might try and grab a quick chat with Dan Stevens and see if he can talk us through that incident at all. So just give us a moment and see if we can get hold of him. Daniel Stevens, Edward Foster in the Performance Esports. We've got a streaming commentary box. Can you hear us?
Yeah, mate. Go ahead.
All right. So obviously we just saw that little bit of an incident happen between yourself and Hayden Dodman. I was just hoping you'd be able to talk us through it.
Yeah, that was the second hit. The first one I managed to hang on to, and the second one Semi hung on to it, and I managed to get through. but a bit of damage on the right hand side.
Yeah, certainly. So we saw the first incident where you sort of got touched and managed to hold on to that, and then of course the second one where you sort of, as you say, sort of half held it and then bounced back on the circuit, and I believe you took a couple of guys and carrying a little bit of damage there now. But we can see that there's a little bit of damage on the back and on the left hand side, as you mentioned. But you didn't seem to spend too long in the pits getting that repaired. Is there any particular reason for that?
It was a minute and a half repairs, mate. So I just wanted to get back out there and get some track, see how bad it is under full speed, and if it's bad, I drop back. I'll just, next time I go into the pits, I'll get it done.
Oh, right, absolutely. So until then, I mean, you had you ran most of the race up the front, but unfortunately, the majority of incidents we've actually seen tonight have been up the front. So you've kind of been there or thereabouts, narrowly avoiding quite a few of them. So this time it looked as though your number may have just came up in terms of the luck of the draw. And as we always say, Daytona's a bit of a lottery.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a lucky streak on that caution when I was in 8th place, and I managed to come out in 2nd, which was shut your eyes and pray kind of moment. But it worked and I got through. But maybe it comes in 3s, and that 3rd time it didn't pay off.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Well, you're certainly not the only guy out there carrying some damage. So hopefully it's kind of comparable to what everyone else is carrying, and you're still able to hold some pace that's going to keep you up there. So thanks very much for chatting to us, and we will let you go.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Daniel.
Edward, I'm just having a look at the standings, and MFR's still got 5 cars in this. They're running between 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Actually, not in too bad shape.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I think most of them are carrying damage as well, but I think that sort of goes for most of the field. I can see Kai Sloggett up there. He's the best placed. Oh, no, sorry, he's not. Is he the best placed MFR truck? Yes, he is. Carrying a little bit of damage there. And we've got 3 of those Alliance trucks up the front as well. I can see you've got Ricky Cornwall, Kevin Rockford up there. And it looks as though Aaron Wilton actually leading the way for them at the moment. So yet another Alliance truck takes a turn in the lead. And just taking a quick look at his truck, so there's some slight damage on it, but it's not looking too bad at all. Looking back at Ricky Cornwall, his is looking almost spotless, as is Kevin Rockford. So those guys are in good shape also.
Yeah, they are actually, and probably the next best person might be Darren Brumfield in the 91 truck. He's got a little bit of rear end damage, but his front looks clean.
All right, so let's see. I mean, one of the things that surprised me earlier on is that trucks with a fair amount of damage were able to run with that lead pack, so long as they sort of kept their noses clean out of the airflow. They were able to really keep that up. But also, you've got the speaking of airflow, you've also got the airflow to the engines. You've got, of course, damaged aerodynamic surfaces and things like that, which affect that airflow and the cooling. So you may even see a few engines blow before the end of the race as well. But all of these guys have had a few hits, but they're carrying on and just about to come around to the green flag once more and go racing once again. So hopefully they're able to run a few green flag laps together and get some really good racing in.
Yeah, and I think that's the time of the race now. We're pretty much halfway, like 40 out of 80. So, yeah, this is the time where I think the boys will sort of settle down and actually race to the end. And if they all pitted there, they might actually be able to make it to the end of the race on that one stop.
Yeah, it'll certainly be easier for the guys sitting in behind than it will for the guys up the front braking yet. But especially if you've got teammates there up the front, you can sort of take turns doing that to make sure you will get to the end. It just depends on how well organised they actually are. So as they run up there, they come into the green flag now, and pace car just about ready to pull off, and Aaron Wilton will dictate the start. Once the pace car pulls in, there it goes. And Aaron Wilton there, he'll be talking to the other Alliance Team Sport guys. He goes, and Wayne Pingilly with a great start, but nowhere to go in there behind. So he slots into 4th place, and he's actually having a great run tonight after that early issue.
Yeah, he is, and he's going to follow the bottom line here and probably take over 3rd. I'm not sure who's in 3rd there, but they might sort of fall in line here, back with their teammates.
Yeah, they're going to want to try to work together, but Wade Pingilly, the lone thorn in their side at the moment, he's right up there, and he's actually going 3 wide with a very aggressive move. sort of, as we said, half distance in the race. But Gilly's actually making a push for the lead. He's made a lead through the middle. What a move that was. You know, obviously everybody's sort of cooperating with him to make sure that didn't wind up in an accident. But he's all but gone from 4th straight to the lead there, as we see one of the Alliance trucks just bouncing off the wall there in the background. But Gilly there now trying the side draft, trying to sort of on his own take the fight to those 3 Alliance trucks working together down the bottom, and he'll be desperate for those teammates of his sitting back there. They've got Brumfield and Slogger. He's going to want them up there with him on the top line to actually give him a hand to get around these guys.
And whatever damage Pangilly's have on his truck, well, just don't fix it, because she's running pretty strong right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we've got Skurlock in there. We haven't even seen too much of Skurlock tonight. Now, he's always been fast. You know, he's had so many great runs so far in the series. And starting to move now towards the front. He started in 32nd place, so pretty ordinary qualifying. I don't believe he actually qualified tonight. But he's right up there up front now too. Carrying a little bit of damage, but it's looking pretty clean on that truck. And now he's getting right up onto the rear bumper of Pingilly as well.
And Pangilly with a good shot to the 15 there through the tribe. I'm not sure if they still hold on to it. They do as they head down into turn 1. Yeah, Pangilly's not messing around here. He wants the lead.
Yeah, he certainly does. And I tell you what, if I was in one of those Alliance trucks at the moment, I might even be inclined to give it to him. I'd certainly rather let somebody through to the lead momentarily than wind up in another accident and see another one of my trucks in the pit lane. So he's got Skurlock there working with him. There's 2 more MFR trucks coming there behind. But once they catch up, there's going to be a battle royale going on up the front.
Yeah, it looks pretty spread out at the moment, but Gilly on the outside here, he's going for it again. But yeah, these trucks just suck right back up to each other. It's going to be pretty interesting. Soon we're going to have at least 8 cars up there. I'm not sure if 9th and 10th can catch back up, but we're definitely going to have an 8-car pack.
Yeah, and of course 10 trucks is what we have left on the lead lap at the moment. Everybody else at least 1 lap down, although if the caution comes out again, and you wouldn't bet against it, John Sorensen, another Alliance truck, he is in the position, the lucky dog spot, and will get the lap up if the caution comes out and if he is not involved in the accident.
Yeah, it looks like the Alliance Motorsports trucks have all caught back up. They might be in better shape than the MFR guys, but Pangilly's still here with the run on the outside with our Skurlock. He's very impressive with that damage.
Yeah, he's not giving up, is he? It's not giving up. He's like a little terrier. Every single time that they give him a little inch, he's there snapping at their heels and trying to get around. He's actually made a decent run of it this time as well. He's sitting there level with the 032 of Kevin Romford. And all 3 of those trucks, 4 of those Alliance trucks now, they're going to be hoping to work together, and they'll be mindful of Pingilly because he's been very, very aggressive.
Yeah, they will, and then the 4 of Carl Sloggett and Darren Brumfield, they're just going to get lined up here. They've been racing each other, and they're actually falling off the pack here. Oh, there's a wreck.
No, it's gone around. It looks as though Pingilly's actually turned right down. Just looking at that, and I won't make any call on that yet. But from what I could tell, just looking at that accident live, and I'm just going to take another quick look at it here, it looks as though Pingilly may have thought he was clear and yeah, he has. He's tried to actually drop down onto the bottom line before the space was there for him to do it. And that's unfortunate for him. It is a mistake on his behalf, and he's wound up facing the wrong way as a result of it, with plenty more damage to add to the collection.
Yeah, he has, and I think that's 2 Alliance Motorsport trucks out in the process.
Oh, that's all right. They've got about 30 more.
Well, this one should help Dan Stevens, actually. I've been taking a look at him. He is damaged, but yeah, so are the rest of the trucks, and this doesn't help him get back to the front.
A lot of damage there for Pingilly. Just having another look back at this incident, you can see almost clears the 25, the Aaron Wilton on the inside. I'm sure his spotter may have even called clear, but he wasn't clear, and as he's sort of come down, there's only been about 10 centimetres worth of overlap there, but that's been enough to cause that big wreck. So, and it's actually left Michael Skurlock in the lead of the race, but I think he's carrying a little bit of damage also.
Yeah, he might just be Edward. Yeah, that was disappointing. Pingilly was going to be good value up there at the front, but yeah, now what do we get to those 30 laps to go here? So this will definitely be, if anybody stops now, they're going to be definitely be able to make it here on fuel. So yeah, should be pretty much set now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few guys duck to the lane if for no other reason than to actually get as much damage fixed as they possibly can. It's not so much about tyres or fuel or anything like that at the moment. It's more just about getting that bodywork as clean as absolutely possible. So, I mean, if I was sort of running, you know, outside, say the top 5 or 6, and was carrying a bit of damage, I'd probably take the gamble, go down to pit lane, sit there for as long as I can, get the bodywork tidied up as much as I possibly can. And Skurlock is making that dive to the pits. Looks as though Chris Purnell's coming with him. But the rest of the lead pack, at the very least, are looking as though they're staying out. Sloggett coming to the pits as well. But just having a look here at Skurlock while he sits in the pits. How much damage is he going to look at actually getting fixed? Maybe he'll try and fix most of it as he gets his tyres changed there.
Yeah, it looks like he's just sitting there getting the damage repaired. I know off he goes now, so he might not have had too much. It looks like he's got a bit of a scrape on the right-hand side and a ding in the rear. That mightn't be too bad. He's definitely going to have some downforce.
And just hearing from Brett Hender, he was running very well up there earlier on in the race, got involved in a wreck, but now he's saying that his pedals have actually got stuck at 3/4 throttle, and he's sitting 3 laps down, so that's really unfortunate for him to actually have that issue. Yeah, one of those things. So you have mechanical failures in real racing, and of course in sim racing you can have all sorts of hardware and software issues as well. So unfortunate for him, but hopefully he'll be able to sort out the issues that he's been having and get back on the circuit.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a lot of struggles to deal with sometimes. We've got computer performance, internet performance, and in your race gear as well.
Yeah, well, before we start talking about how hard this is, mate, try running a real race car. I can tell you it's certainly a lot worse, but yeah, absolutely. There's all these little things that can bite you, and as we all know, internets and things like that can give issues when it's least expected. So just having a look at the order as they run now, we've got Aaron Wilton has resumed the lead because, as we did see, that Michael Skurlock, who was leading, has dropped into the pit lane. So Aaron Wilton will resume the lead ahead of Kevin Bogford and Darren Brumfield, his teammates. And then we've got Kai Sloggett and Daniel Stevens in there behind, running there for Middle Finger Racing. So we're talking a lot about teams tonight, and the reason for that is, as we mentioned at the top of the show, you really need to be able to run with your teammates to get a good result on a super speedway, and it's very, very important to have people that are going to work with you and help you towards the front, and there's no one better to do that than your teammates. So that's why we're talking so much about teams tonight. These guys, they're going to want to get up there together, run in a line, and try and punch that hole in the air for each other. It looks as though Skurlock's actually dropped a lap. Did I see that correctly? No, he hasn't. Sorry, I did not see that correctly. I just saw him coming out of the pit, and looked as though he'd actually dropped a lap, but he hasn't. Somebody else who's sat up there at the moment, sort of in that lead pack, he's not actually part of the lead battle, is Todd Maxfield. He's there. He's 28 laps down at the moment in 35th position, but he's actually carrying a fair bit less damage than a lot of the other guys. So I'm not suggesting for a moment he's going to make 28 laps back, but in terms of pace, he should be able to run with these leaders fairly comfortably.
Yeah, well, there's only 8 cars left on the lead lap, and the only one that's not in a team is Skurlock, and every single one of them, from what I've seen, has actually got damage. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting front pack, and like you say, there's going to be cars back there that have no damage. Well, hopefully, there's going to be a few of them, and yeah, we'll see them come to the front.
Yeah, it's not over. It's never over. I mean, we saw a few guys. We saw Pick Gilly, who got involved in that issue earlier on, and he was right up the front battling for the lead before I had the lead, before his race came unravelled as well. So it's never over. There are plenty of guys out there who've had their issues tonight, and they're still running up there, still running around, trying to get to the end. And the way it's going, it's really still anyone's race. It really is still anyone's race. It may sound silly with some guys running around there, quite a few laps down, but the way this race has been so far, you certainly wouldn't put it past anyone to actually jag into one.
The hardest thing's going to be, I mean, the car's 2 laps down now, so it's Bert Douglas and Ricky Cornwell, and it's coming up to 30 laps to go. I mean, there probably will be another couple of yellows the way the race has gone, but yeah, they're going to be struggling to sort of get their laps back now, because they're going to have to fight for the lucky dog, and the leaders aren't going to pit anymore. They're done. They're not going to get the opportunity to get a wave around.
No, certainly not. So the opportunities for lapped cars to sort of play themselves back into contention by doing things with strategy are fast diminishing. They're going to have to rely, as you say, on fighting over that lucky dog place, which for those of us who probably aren't acquainted with NASCAR, the lucky dog is that goes to the first car that is 1 lap down when the caution comes out, provided they're not part of that accident that actually brings it out, and that car will actually get a lap back. And so right now it's actually Brett Douglas sitting in that lucky dog position, but he's going to have to fight with the former leader and his teammate Ricky Cornwall for that spot. And if the caution comes out again, and the way things have been going, it's a fairly safe bet that it will. One of those guys is going to want to be in that spot to gain his lap back. Then, of course, if it happens again, he's got to be able to get back on the lead lap. And a bit of news through from Will Barrington at the moment. He's just actually come through. He's 10 laps down at the moment. And basically just saying that his truck is done. He is still lapping at the moment, but I'm not sure if he's having some sort of engine dramas or something like that, the amount of damage that he's carrying. But those two Alliance trucks are going to be separated as everyone dies for that low lane, and leads the 032. Kevin Bomford sort of hung out to dry on his own at the top. Looks as though Kai Sloggett's actually going to get out there and give him a bit of a hand as well. And what we were saying earlier on about Tom Maxfield having the pace, he certainly does. He looks like he's trying to force 3 wide here. I'm not really sure. That wasn't a great move from 28 laps down. It's one of those things where, yes, he did have better pace than the other guys, but you're not going to pull 28 laps back, and he's just tried to stick his nose in between 2 guys there that were fighting for the lead, and it hasn't worked. So I'm not really sure what else there is to say about that, except it's quite unfortunate and probably not. If I was Kai Sloggett and Darren Brumfield, I would not be that happy with that, honestly.
No, not at all. I mean, that pretty much took out the rest of the lead lap cars, except for Skurlock, who I actually think's gotten away with this. He got a little bit of damage on the inside there, but maybe not damage, but he got turned into the infield. But he looks like he's gotten away with it.
Yeah, so pretty unfortunate. Pretty unfortunate for a couple of guys there that were actually just minding their own business. Probably wouldn't be that thrilled with the car going 3 wide with them, but as we say, it's very easy to say these things from up in the commentary box. Much different thing to actually be behind at that stage. So unfortunate for the guys who've been involved, but as we were saying earlier on, it's never over, and they'll certainly have the opportunity, if they're not running too much damage, to actually get back there up the pointy end and have another go at it. But at the moment, we've got Chris Burnell and Aaron Wilton, teammates, running there up the front of the field, and I believe you were correct there, Danny, that Michael Skurlock is actually still up there as well.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the racetrack, and there's a few drivers not happy with that one.
No, look, I'd imagine you wouldn't be. I certainly wouldn't be in that position, but of course you're never happy when you get involved in an accident. But it's certainly not for us to criticise what these guys are doing, but yeah, I'm sure that there's going to be some words between a few of them after the race, because there's got to be some differing points of view on a lot of these accidents, that's for sure.
Yeah, and probably a late night for Anzcar too, but that's left us with now only 4 cars left on the lead lap, 3 of them Alliance Motorsports, so they're in very good shape. You've got Michael Skurlock's the odd dog out. I'll see what he can do. I don't know if he's going to have any friends.
Yeah, well, I think he's certainly up against it. Maybe he can find one of the lap down cars or something to run with him. But yeah, he's going to need somebody. He's definitely going to need somebody to try and help him out, because he's not going to be able to fight those 3 Alliance guys on his own. Remains to be seen if we're going to see anybody jump through and get the lucky dog. I think we have had a few cars drop 1 lap since that accident, but I think the first car that was a lap down when the caution came out was actually Brett Douglas, so we might actually see him get his lap back. We have indeed seen that, so he goes up to 1 lap down now, and he will resume his lucky dog position actually. So he slots into 5th, which is the first lucky dog position. So one more issue like that, and he'll be back on the lead lap.
Yeah, that just creates 2 races. You got the 4 cars on the lead lap, and 1, 2, 3, and 5 cars. 1 lap down, they're going to be battling for that lucky dog.
Yeah, that's going to be a battle as well. It's going to be almost as intense as a battle for the lead, because they'll be aware. They'll be absolutely aware that they're in that lucky dog position. And once again, looking back through those guys who are 1 lap down at the moment, we've got Brett Douglas, Alliance Sim Sports. We've got Kai Sloggett, who's Middle Finger Racing, Daniel Stevens, middle figure racing. Both of those guys are still on pit road actually, so they may be. And it looks like Kai Stolbert's actually dropped out of the service, so that's unfortunate for him. Darren Brumfield's still staying there on pit road, and I think that he's going to drive back around and get his lap back.
He will, but he's in front of Aaron Wilton at the moment. He's sort of got his lap back at that stage, I think.
Yeah, he's still showing on the timing screens actually as being a lap down. So maybe if Wilton was to pass him, he'd actually be 2 laps down at the moment. So when he actually comes back and joins the back of that pack, he'll be sort of back to 1 lap down in true form. So, and then sort of looking back to that, you've got guys who are still sitting back there. You've got Scott Butler, who's out there on track at the moment. He's 6 laps down. Ricky Cornwall still sat there on pit road getting fixed. He's 6 laps down. Phil Otto, he's on track. He's 7 laps down at the moment. So a few guys with a bit of work to do, but 7 laps down is 12th position at the moment. So that kind of shows how many issues have actually been in this race.
Yeah, and since John Torrenson's actually in 4th place, but he's well off the lead pack, he's going to be starting from the back, so he's not going to get to the front if this goes green flag. But he might just be looking at the top 3 at the moment, and then the next person in line, Scott Butler, he's like say 6 laps down, but he's sort of the next in line. His car doesn't look too bent up, and then you sort of got the guys behind them 7 laps down, 8 laps down. So yeah, I mean they could be sitting in the front pack too, and you could have a pack full of top 3 cars and a pack following behind them. So it could still be one huge pack, but we'll see how the lap cars actually treat the lead cars and see if they get off to a good start.
Well, Kevin Bomford's actually coming off the pit lane now, and he's still in 4th place on the lead lap. So he's got to be there, and he's got to be running sort of around about where Brett Douglas and Chris Purnell are running, being a lap down. So those guys, despite there being a lap between them, they're going to be able to sort of work together and potentially push Bomford up towards the front as well. So just because these guys are actually a lap behind also, it's not going to stop them from actually getting there and playing the team game and helping one of their compatriots out.
No, that's true. That was my mistake. Yeah, Bomford will get the free passes, basically pass everybody car up.
Teammates we mentioned earlier on, Daniel Stevens winning the Anzcar Daytona 500. That was a fantastic result from him. So just having a look now at the green flags actually just flying. So we've got Aaron Wilton there out in front, and he's made a nice jump over Michael Skurlock with John Sorensen in behind Skurlock on the outside. So I'd imagine, and that is indeed happening, what I was about to say, and that is John Sorensen trying to get to that low line to help out his teammate Aaron Wilton.
Yeah, the top 3 have completely driven away from Scott Butler here, so it could just be a top 3 race at the moment.
Well, Scott Butler is, despite sitting up there where he was, he's 6 laps down at the moment. So I'm not surprised to see that he's lacking a little bit in the pace. Yeah, you can see those top front 6 Ford guys, they are going to want to win this race. They're not just there for team. I mean, they're there to obviously do the best for the team. They're not going to want to take each other out. But if one of them can win the race over the other one, expect them to try. And if those two start fighting one another and start going for the win, that's going to be the opportunity that Skurlock needs to actually put one over on them and take this race. So it's going to be, it's certainly not a foregone conclusion that these two Alliance boys are going to play nice.
No, not at all. I mean, you saw Skurlock try the top side there, and he had help from Sorensen. So yeah, Sorensen obviously wants the lead. He's going for it now down the backstretch. Sort of can't pull it off in the highline, so they all get back together. On the plus side, if this goes, if we get another yellow flag, it looks like Kevin Bomford might actually have some pace, and also Brett Douglas will get back on the lead lap, and he doesn't look too slow either.
Yeah, well, Bomford's just there at the moment, and he's got the 083 behind him. And the 083 is Nicholas Shields, and he's 24 laps down. So it looks as though he's just going to hook onto the back of Bomford and see if they can make any kind of ground on the leaders at all. They have fallen back a little way, and they continue to fall back. But I'd imagine that if things stay green, it's got to be between these top 3. I can't see anybody sort of bridging that gap. That being said, as you mentioned, if a caution comes out once more, there's going to be a few other guys brought into play, not least of which Brett Douglas, who will get the lucky dog if the caution were to come out right now.
And it's still getting dicey up the front here. You've got Sorensen, he's definitely not happy with second. He's definitely going to go for it if he gets a chance.
Yeah, these teammates, all of a sudden between teammates it sometimes becomes not too matey by the time you actually get down to the end of it. So these guys have obviously been working together all night. All 6 or 7 of those Line 6 Sports trucks have been working together. They've been working together fantastically. It's not their own doing that's actually stopped them from being all together still at the front. They've been involved in other people's accidents. So these guys running together in front now, they're both going to want to win this race. So Aaron Wilton, he's been doing a bit of Anzcar for a while now, and we've seen John Sorensen around, and he's certainly very quick as well. So these guys are going to be going at it. Remains to be seen if they're going to try and pull a bit of a gap on Skurlock before fighting, but I'm not even sure they're going to be able to do that. So I imagine if they're going to start to fight, they're going to fight. And that's going to be Skurlock's invitation to actually get in there, get amongst it, and try and jack the victory from there.
Yeah, I think Skurlock's pretty much stuck in third here, and the only way he's going to sort of get up is if Sorensen pulls out and he can go with him. Skurlock's also got to show that he's interested in going with him, which I'm sure he is. So it's going to be interesting when it comes down to the last couple of laps. But I'm pretty sure the top 2 will sort of stay this way. I mean, a lot of people like to try and make that move on the very last lap and see how it goes. But Skurlock, not sure what he's doing here. He just seems to be a couple of car lengths behind. Might be trying to get the run on the backstretch.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that as well, because about Skurlock having to show that he's interested in going with it, because you can imagine that the 2 teammates are going to be talking to one another. I imagine that Skurlock has got no way of communicating with those 2 guys, so it's very much this sort of non-verbal language, showing what you want the other guy to do, and whether he's kind of picking up on the kind of signals that you're giving him to move where you want him to move, and to try and make the moves that you want him to make at the time you want him to make them. So it's very difficult as they pass one of the damaged trucks there, just running towards the outside. I believe it's Barrington still looking around there. It's whether or not Sorensen and Skurlock, for example, will team up to try and put one over on Wilton. It's going to be it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very difficult one. Difficult job for Skurlock to get this done against 2 teammates.
Yeah, definitely is. But he is showing pace. I don't think he's just hovering back there, just biding his time. He's probably learning. You've got to take these opportunities to learn. Like, obviously get a good run down the backstretch. Well, what can you do with it? Hopefully Don goes with you. But at the moment, he probably doesn't have that winning car. If anything, he's going to have to push Don to the lead and hopefully get into second place there.
Yeah, it certainly is. And these guys are running such an even pace at the moment. That's going to be the only way that a move's going to happen. Certainly none of these guys are going to have the ability to get a move done without help from someone else. Just looking back at Kevin Bomford and Shields running together there. Bomford, of course, still on the lead lap in 4th position. Shields many laps down, as we mentioned earlier on. But those 2 are actually slowly starting to bridge the gap to the guys in front. They were 3.8 seconds behind. Now they're 3.6 seconds behind. So I am wondering if, given a few more laps of green flag racing, whether Bomford can actually bridge that gap and get amongst the fight for the win himself.
Yeah, they might do. He definitely we won a caution flag, but they're doing it perfectly right now. They're just sitting on the bottom during the corners and then up on the straightaways. They're sort of half a car length on the straight, and they're sort of just pushing each other. And if the top 3 get to racing, these 2 will definitely catch up.
Yeah, just looking at the top 3 at the moment, they're overtaking some of the walking wounded as they were. Raymond Yeager, Wayne Pingilly, and Rodney Morris, all part of that. And now, of course, that second group we were just talking about of Bomford and Shields catching up to them. So they're going to want them to stay nice and low, stay out their way, and let these guys get around them, which they do. Very well behaved there. Would have been nice to see some of that good behaviour at the earlier stages of the race, not talking about those 3 in particular, but just among some of the guys out there. But they made that move stick, and 3.3 seconds now, the gap down between Kevin Bomford and the lead of this race. So coming down by 0.3 of a second a lap, he's definitely going to get there. But if they stay at this kind of pace differential, he is going to bridge that gap to actually join the front trio.
It looks like they've bridged that gap pretty well this lap with the lap traffic in the way. We'll have a look here. Crossing the line now, 3.3, down to 2.8, so half a second.
Half a second they pulled that back. So we were sort of wondering whether, they was going to take a caution for them to get up there. Well, they're doing it all by themselves at the moment, and I'm surprised that they're actually able to bridge that gap running as a twosome while the guys up front are running as a trio. So it's not going to be long before we're going to have a 4-way fight for the lead, and a lapped car in there for good measure.
Yeah, and Bomford actually doesn't have too much damage on his truck. It looks pretty clean, a bit wrinkled at the front, but the back end doesn't look too bad, and so he's definitely got some pace.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Skurlock's struggling a little bit at the moment to hang on to these two trucks in front of him. A couple of times he's kind of wandered up the track and hasn't been keeping sort of perfect line in behind those guys. And I'm wondering if that's sort of just contributing to the fact that that particular group isn't running that fast, as Bomford takes another 0.2 of a second out of the lead of his teammate Aaron Wilson. And
wouldn't that be the strategy right now? You're sitting in third, probably know you can't win from third with the two teammates, but if you get the other two involved, anything could happen. So yeah, he could be sort of ducking out of line, just slowing that front pack down.
Yeah, it could be a very clever piece of strategy, actually. I hadn't considered that. Certainly, we know that Skurlock knows how to wheel one of these things, so I'd be surprised if he didn't know how to stay in one. So that could be his tactic, to actually try and drag these guys back and get him involved in even more of a fight. But of course, the downside of that is he may have actually just started to lose the back of that draft a little bit doing that. And additionally, the truck that he is bringing up the front is another one of these guys' teammates. So I think he might be hoping that Shields starts to get in the mix as well.
I mean, that second pack is coming down to 2.1 seconds now, so I dare say they're probably going to get there towards the end. Bomford's probably just sniffing the back end of the draft from Skurlock. I reckon they're going to get there.
And the next car, the next truck that the leaders are actually going to catch is Brett Douglas, another Alliance Sim Sports truck. And he's not running that quick. He's running out there on his own at the moment. He is in 5th position, believe it or not, a lap down in that lucky little spot. But remember what he said earlier on when he crossed to him in the pit lane. He said, if I'm able to give one of my teammates a hand, I probably will. So I'm sure that doesn't mean him doing anything dirty or anything untoward. But if you can make things a little bit awkward for Skurlock and maybe break that toe and actually make him drop off the back of his two teammates, we may see him try something like that, although I'd be interested to see how he'd actually make that work. But certainly something to keep an eye out for.
And here we go. I think Skurlock's completely done that on purpose. He's brought the second group right up. Now we've got the top three Alliance trucks, but we'll see what Skurlock can do from here. He's definitely done a very good job at getting that second pack up to them at the 5-car battle.
If he has, he's done absolutely fantastically well. He's done that absolutely brilliantly, because now he's got, I don't know if he's been talking to Shields at all, but he's got Shields there on his tail, and he might actually have a partner. He may have somebody who's able to help him towards the front, because he was fighting that battle on his own. And now they've sort of lined up, and well, these Alliance boys are going to line up together, and what we're saying that Bomford's not lining up together. He's leading that outside train past his two teammates. So he's certainly not playing the team game at the moment. He's going for the win himself.
No, it's like Bomford, like I said, he didn't have too much damage, so it just looks like that clean truck. It's definitely got some pace. This is a good race now.
Yeah, certainly has. So just to remind everyone who's watching, the top 4 trucks that you see there, that is the 25, the 32, the 64, and the 350, they are all on the lead lap. The 083 is not part of this battle. He's there, he's got a relatively clean truck, but he is a lot of laps down, so he's not actually battling for the lead here. The lead is between these top 4 at the minute, and just having say that, Skurlock's got turned around. So, and then there were 2.
Yeah, it just looks like from the live view, Skurlock tried to squeeze on the inside lane there, and he sort of got tagged there by 3rd place.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call, because it didn't really look like he made too much of a hard jink downwards, but he definitely tried to sort of get down there, get down into that bottom row, and it looked as though he had enough room too, but he just had to hesitate. He had to hesitate because he's had a bit of overlap with Bomford in front, and he wasn't able to slot in as he wanted to, so he had to back off. And by the time he's backed off, number 25, Aaron Wilton, was there, and that's taken him straight to the scene of the accident, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like Wilton might have gotten away with not too much damage, but Sorensen's, he's blown an engine, so he's definitely out of it now. And like you say, then there were 2.
Yeah, big shame for John Sorensen, but you know what this means. It means that Brett Douglas, the other Alliance Sim Sport truck, he's going to get his lap back. He's in the lucky dog position, so he's going to get that lap back. So he's going to be able to join what's left of his teammates up the front.
Yeah, it's looking very well for Alliance. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so definitely looking good for them. But yeah, look, it's certainly been a bit of a messy one. Yes, it's been a hard night.
It has, but yeah, Kevin Bomford here he's come back from 4th into this one, into the lead. 10 laps to go, probably when the green flag comes out, less than 10 laps to go. It's going to be very interesting how these 3 cars, teammates, play this one.
And let's not forget, our top 5 trucks at the moment started in 17th, 41st, 32nd, 35th, and 11th in that order. So qualifying, obviously not that big of a deal when you look at how this race has actually played out.
No, not at all. And it happens to these sort of big tracks with the wrecks that happen. Can be at the back and sort of work your way to the front if you're lucky enough to avoid all the wrecks.
And just seeing a little bit of chat there from Michael Skirlock, he actually did play that game that you alluded to earlier on, Daniel, that he actually slowed down to enable Kevin Bomford to actually catch up to that lead group and join the battle. So a little bit aggrieved that Kevin didn't stay with him on the outside there to kind of repay that favour that Skirlock's done for him. But unfortunately, he's not the only one affected by that. We've got the number 72 cruising in there with smoke billowing from the back of it as well. So that's Rodney Morris, and there's quite a few guys here with quite a few bent up and very second-hand looking utes.
Yeah, and you've got to give it to the guys running still in like the bottom end of the top 10, 8, 9 laps, 10 laps down even, and they're still battling it out, trying to get a top 10 a good finish. Like people like Phil Otto here, I'm just looking at, he's 8 laps down in 8th position.
Well, I mean, Phil Otto's one of those guys, isn't he? You know, he's got so much enthusiasm for the racing that he does. You know, whether he comes first or last, he absolutely loves it and always has good things to say about his competitors and the organisers and broadcasters and everybody else. So he's one of the guys that you know is really the backbone of the Anzcar sort of competition. Great to see him out here having a good run tonight, and he's really started to put in some improved showings of late as well. He would be one of these guys that sort of meander around the midfield when he first started, and every now and again, you know, he puts in a storming qualifying lap and has a really good race as well. So it's nice to see him up there in the top 10 in such a big field, albeit 8 laps down, but he's still going. He's had his issues, he's still up there, and looks like he's on for a strong result and strong ball of points.
Yeah, I think he really started to show during that the Anzcar Coca-Cola 600, and he was up there in the top 5, top 10. He actually had a really good car. I thought he might win there at one stage. It didn't work out in the end, but he's pretty much from there. He's just gotten stronger every week.
Yeah, and he definitely does work at it. He did take a few weeks away with a couple of health concerns earlier on in the year, but yeah, definitely back now, and yeah, he's getting faster and faster all the time. So great to see him having a good run. Another one which is great to see having a good run. We don't get to see him race nearly often enough. Wayne Pingilly, we saw him earlier on running for the lead. Ended up getting in a little bit of a fisticuffs with the couple of guys there up front, but he's still there. He's 8 laps down as well as Phil Otto, but he's sitting there in 9th place. So a strong top 10 finish definitely on the cards for him. Hopefully he's able to bring that home. And Will Barrington, who came on the chat earlier on and said that my truck is done, well, he's still out there and he's in 12th place. 12 laps down, unfortunately for him, but he's still rolling around it and bringing home some points for his efforts. So, yeah, so I think a lot of guys being rewarded for persistence tonight more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely, and it helps. You just basically you stick in it. A lot of people sort of don't want to continue after they've been had too much damage to this sort of racing, especially if they're not contending for a championship. I mean, yeah, there's no chance to win. They're sort of not interested, but yeah, it's good to see guys staying out there and giving it a crack and seeing where they end up. It doesn't look like there's too many cars or trucks on track at the moment. We only see about 10 or 12, so we'll see how the end goes here.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the guys who we mentioned earlier on who's got quite a lot of pace but not a lot of position is Shields. He was running right up there with that lead pack. Actually helped push Kevin Bomford up the front. And although he's many laps down, he's obviously got the pace to continue to run up there with the leaders. So one wonders what he might have achieved had he not had had all those repairs on pit road.
Yeah, and he's going to be the difference maker here because whether the second place really likes it or not, he can give the shove to the to get out from the outside and get to first place. So he could be second place's sort of best friend. It could be their worst enemy. You never know how he's going to play this. It should be interesting.
Yeah, playing a bit of a kingmaker role, isn't he? It's almost up to him who's going to win this race. I don't think that the guys who are sitting in there immediately behind him have necessarily got the pace to be able to stick with those top three. Top three, of course, as they sit on the track at the moment. Just having a look at that, he may actually, Shields may actually get the say on who takes home the win today.
It's definitely looking like that. But it'll be interesting, like it's obviously different teams. I'm not a part of the Alliance team, but I'm sure they're talking right now, and it'll be interesting to see sort of what they're talking about and what the results are going to be. Because you don't want to be running second. Nobody likes to run second, but you want to obviously help a teammate. It looks like they've got that sewed up, but that becomes even more interesting between the two. It's like it's just up to them between them two. It's like, well, they're going to go for it. I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they may as well fight one another, hey? I mean, they've got nobody else left up there to fight. We've got Michael Skurlock down there at the moment. He's on the 8th, just driving around, and not sure if he's just trying to find a space to slot in. So he is still sitting there in 3rd place, despite that issue that he had earlier on. He's been sort of moved up, so there's still a 3-way fight on for the lead. We've got Brett Douglas in there. He is 4th on the score sheet. He's got a few lapped cars in between himself and the top 3. So it looks as though we're going to have a top 3 on the restart here, and Montford has gone very early to allow his teammate to drop in, and Skurlock, looks like that damage is taking toll because he has got no pace whatsoever. He has got absolutely no chance of running with those 2 Alliance trucks out the front, absolutely none at all.
No, and I think we're about 3/4 of a lap behind, looking at the replay, but they're well and truly into that lap. They're onto their 2nd lap now, and Skurlock not keep up, and it doesn't look like Shields can keep up either, so it's definitely going to come down to Aaron Wilton and Bomford here in the last 8 laps.
I do apologise. Yes, I was actually looking at a little bit of delayed footage there and made the old rookie error of thinking it was live. So, just watching these 2 Alliance Sim Sports trucks fighting one another. Well, are they going to fight one another? One would think that they will, because they've got literally nobody else out there to fight. They're just running alone. So, I'd hate to see these guys come together and take each other out. I'd really hate to see that, but I'd also like to see them get into each other and give us a little bit of a race to the end. We've only got a handful of laps to go now. We're just starting lap 74 of 80, so just a handful of laps left, and these 2 are going to go at it.
It looks like Nick Shields actually can keep up with them. I'm not sure if he can close to the back bumper. But we're talking about 2 guys that haven't run an Anzcar race yet, I don't believe, so it's big stakes right now.
Yeah, Aaron Wilson's been running races for a while, I believe, but Kevin Bomford, he's certainly new this season, so those 2 running a line at the moment. And Aaron Wilton is going to be doing everything he can to just he's got no help. He's not really got any help back there. You can see Shields has fallen off of these guys a little bit, so it's going to come down to whether or not either one of these guys can make some sort of power movement or get a bit of momentum, maybe get the side draft going. He's certainly looking for it. They're not going to sit and rest on their laurels, these guys. They're definitely going to try and push it to the end. Each one of these guys wants to take the maiden victory for Alliance Sim Sports. I think I'm correct in saying that they haven't won a race in Anzcar yet, which is perfectly forgivable given the case that they haven't been around that long. They certainly are a new outfit, but those guys now running there together. You can see Wilton just trying to get a little bit of momentum coming off that turn and maybe sucking his teammate in a little bit. I'm not sure if they're trying to get a bit of a gap on Shields. It looks as though Shields is sort of able to hold that gap steady in there behind them, but whether he will try to push up and actually play a part in the results of this race remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think he's going to get there. He's definitely catching the back of them. I think Bomford's just probably, like right now on the front stretch here in the short shoot, he's probably too far off the yellow line. I think I prefer to be on the yellow line. I know Wilton's not going to get around the outside of me unless he's got help, but I actually think he's got help now with Shields. He's definitely up there, so yeah, this race is definitely going to ramp up now.
Yeah, and realistically, if these 2 go side by side, running to the line, Shields can then pick who wins. Shields, from 20 odd laps down, has got the position of being able to actually decide in that scenario who wins this race, deciding on which side he actually wants to drive with, who he wants to back, who he wants to fall in behind. Can actually influence the draft and actually help Wilton make a move or help Bomford keep that victory.
Yeah, and you see Wilton's just sort of backed off Bomfield now. He could be trying to get a run with Shields on the outside here. It looks like he goes for it off turn 4. Can't do it. And Bomford sort of sticks to the yellow line there. It's probably what he needs to do, but they come up to a lap car. But yeah, Bomford just needs to stick on this yellow line. I think that's going to be his best friend.
Yeah, he certainly does, and as you mentioned earlier on, he's kind of coming a bit away from it, which is going to potentially, if he decides to get super aggressive, actually give Wilton the opportunity to get his nose down in there. And big teammates are not going to want to come together. That is not going to go down well at all at Alliance HQ if they do come together. So just watching them now, it seems that Wilton's actually getting off the corners a lot better than Bomford is, or they could just be because of the draft. But it's almost hard to see where he's going to be able to make a move without help from Shields.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe off turn 2 like he did then. He got a pretty good run, but he's definitely going to need help. He's just sort of falling back here. Shields is sort of getting a run.
Yeah, coming around to 3 laps to go now. There is a bit more lap traffic there in front as well. So it's going to be a case of, there's a lot of lap traffic there in front. They're going to want to get those guys out the way. They've actually had to back off. They've had to back off because that lap traffic is running too wide. Gilly's actually got down in front of the leader there, backed them up, and he's having to thread the needle there. They're not going to be impressed with that at all. I mean, oval racing, there is no obligation for those back markers to get out the way, but as a leader, you don't care about that. As a leader, you just want these guys out the way, and they've actually, you could see the flames popping from the exhaust of those 2 Alliance trucks as they had to get off the throttle and avoid running into the back of those guys. But they've all survived it. It pretty much remains the status quo. But one thing that you may see now is a little bit of a gap between first and second place. May actually facilitate a bit of momentum for the number 25 to allow him to get a bit of a run on the 032, his teammate in front of him. So it looks as though he hasn't really been able to make any kind of momentum there. And now with 2 laps to go, just closing up on the back of his teammate once more, we're back to that odd scenario of it's difficult to see where he's going to get this done, but you can guarantee he's going to try.
Yeah, and there is a bit of an art to what Bomfield's doing, sort of pushing him up off the yellow line. You are basically slowing that line down. And as long as he keeps Wilton behind him, obviously you're going to win the race. But here comes Nick Shields. We'll see what he's going to do. It doesn't look like Wilton's going to go with him in turn 3. It might come down to the last lap.
Yeah, I wonder why, seeing Shields move to the outside, that Wilton wouldn't actually take that opportunity to move out and give it a go. Because the worst he's going to do is he's going to finish second. So he really needs to, if he's got his eyes on winning this race, he needs to have his eyes forward and also on the mirrors to see what Shields is doing. If Shields starts to suggest go to the outside, make that run to the outside and see if you can get it done. You put one over your teammate, but you're also looking for your first ever Anzcar victory. So it'd be interesting to see if Bomford decides to throw the block in that scenario or just sit there and hope that he can outrun them on the inside.
Yeah, and here it is, probably the last opportunity going down the backstretch. Wilton getting the run up on Bomfield, but sort of stalls out there looking on the outside. Shields is with him. He just needs to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure that any of them, he looks just unsure about making the move. Maybe he's decided, maybe he's got an order from upstairs to sit in behind the teammate and bring home this 1-2, but last lap now, last turn coming through 3 and 4, now Shields decides of all times to go looking to the outside. Way too late for anything like that, and it looks as though those Alliance trucks are going across the line at 1-2, so the numbers game is definitely played out for them. And Kevin Bomford, not too long after beginning his Anzcar career, has taken home the first victory for Alliance Sim Sports, so congratulations to those guys. They entered enough trucks, but 2 was all they needed in the end.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have a smile on his face for the rest of the week, I can guarantee it. Well done.
We all know that feeling, don't we? It certainly puts you in a great frame of mind for the, it doesn't matter how badly things go at work the following day, taking home a win in Anzcar is always nice and always something that you can look back on and reflect on very nicely. So well done for him. There's going to be a lot of celebrations going on and down at the Alliance Sim Sports crew, and I should imagine that Aaron Wilton, despite not being able to jag the win at the end, is going to be quite happy with his part in that as well. And let's not forget, we've got Brett Douglas in 3rd. It's actually a 1-2-3 for these guys. And Michael Skurlock, who we saw, he's the first car 1 lap down. And he'll come home in a very well-deserved 4th place. With Chris Purnell, yet another Alliance truck has come home in 5th. So very, very successful night for them, if a bit of a messy one. And as we see Kevin Bomford doing the victory burnouts, very well-deserved.
Yeah, it is very well deserved, and some good shout outs here to Scott Butler, Phil Otto, Pengilly, Raymond Yeager and Will Barrington. They were almost 10 laps down, or some of them are more than 10 laps down, and they've sort of stuck it out to come home with top 10 finishes.
Yeah, and I think we only had 10 trucks actually complete the race, although I could be wrong with that. It looks as though John Science was like he actually left the road after that accident. So yeah, you can actually see Bonford just out there doing those victory burnouts at the moment, and he'll be, as mentioned, very, very happy and understandably so. Just wanting to probably start off some post-race interviews. It's obviously got quite late this one, with quite a few cautions, so just want to perhaps grab a bit of a chat with some of these guys. Can't see anybody actually hanging around in the green room, so we might pull them out of their individual team chats and see if we can have a bit of a chat with them. So is there anyone in particular that you like to grab first, Danny?
I think the race winner, if he's done doing his burnout.
Race winner, so I imagine that he would be going under the name of Bomber in Discord, so I might just pull him up, and hopefully he's not screaming any obscenities across to his team, and he's willing to have a chat with us. Kevin Bomford, Edward Foster from the Performance E streaming commentary box. Can you hear us?
Yeah, not too bad.
How does that feel?
No, it was great. It was a great team effort from the boys from Alliance Sim Sports. It was great to get the first win under the belt.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I mean, we saw you running there at the end with your teammate right up behind you, and it looked as though he was actually looking to make a couple of moves. So was it on between you two, or were you playing the team game?
No, all team game. We'll all work together in Alliance, so it's been a great effort from all the boys.
Yeah, certainly brought a lot of trucks here tonight, and it's a very good thing that you did actually with some of the attrition that we saw, and saw a few of your teammates getting involved in incidents, and not too many of them actually any of their own making. I have to say, it seemed as though they got caught up in a lot of things that may have been sort of other people's doing. So a bit of a shame for those guys. But at the end of the night, you've actually brought home all but one of the top 5 trucks. So
yeah, great effort.
Fantastic job.
No, it's a great effort from all the boys. And I'd like to thank some of the sponsors as well, C21 Systems. They're great helping us out. So it's also from the team, so couldn't have done it without them.
Absolutely fantastic. So did you have anybody else you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just Chris for now, the team owner. So he's helped me out a lot, and obviously all the boys. It's a great effort from the team. So that was awesome effort.
All right, fantastic stuff, Kevin. We'll let you go back and have a bit of a celebration with your team, and get the next one up here. So congratulations again, and very well done to the lot of you.
Cheers, thanks for that.
All right, so obviously a very happy Kevin Bomford taking out the victory tonight. So anybody else that you can see down there, Daniel, that you may like to have a bit of a chat with?
Just having a look. I don't know if Aaron Wilton's there. We'll bring him up.
Aaron Wilson, second place. Let's bring him up and have a little bit of a chat. Might let you handle this one, Daniel?
Okay, too easy. Aaron, how are you doing?
Yeah, great, thanks, mate.
Well, that's good. It looked like you had a pretty good run there. It was sort of disappointing. We sort of had you picked for the win until Bomford sort of came out of nowhere from 3.5 seconds down and ended up taking the lead just before a yellow flag.
Yeah, well, he definitely had the pace on me, so there wasn't much I could do, and so I was just happy to slot in there. And after the few little near incidents I had earlier, I was just really happy to get up the front end.
Yeah, you look pretty good. I mean, we know Bomford had probably the best looking car out there at that stage with all the damage, and it was actually just quite amazing how him and Nick Shields, was actually quite damaged, were able to pull up to you guys. And then, that incident, there's an incident with Skurlock there who sort of shuffled things up, but he was looking to also make a pretty interesting sort of fit for that end of the race there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what really happened with him. I don't know if it was him or not, but someone moved down in front of me a bit and I just couldn't get off the gas in time, so I guess that's just Daytona.
Yeah, it is. Well done. Alliance Motorsports, 1, 2, 3. Very well done.
Yeah, thanks. I've actually got to say this is my debut race with the team, and I've been chipping away at this series, and now I'm with a good team. It's just blown away with how helpful they've been for me.
Yeah, I can imagine you guys are, over the last few weeks have actually topped the charts and sort of getting up there. So I'm looking, your team's going to be pretty interesting, and I think you guys will do well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We've got some fast guys, and we like to race hard, but try to keep it clean. So hopefully we do the same thing next week.
Yeah, sounds good, mate. Well, have a good night, and good. Well, congratulations on that second.
Cheers, and just before I go, I just got to give a shout out to Alliance Sim Sports and C21 Systems. Without those guys, this wouldn't be possible.
Cool, thank you.
Right, that was Aaron Wilton, your second place getter. Normally, I think we'd probably move on to third, but we did actually speak to Brett Douglas earlier on in the race, so I might actually look at getting old Wayne Pingilly, your team boss, Daniel, up here. We saw him make that big charge for the lead, and might actually get him up here for a bit of a chat to see how that worked out from his point of view.
Yeah, sounds good.
Mr. Pingilly, Edward in the Performance E streaming commentary box. How you going?
Good, thanks, buddy.
So we saw you have a bit of a charge towards the lead earlier on, and then it all came a little bit unravelled. Just hoping that you'd be able to talk us through it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, mate. I don't know if I don't really know until I watched the replay, to be honest with you, Edward. Don't know if you can enlighten us a bit. Just sort of must have touched and went around there. But the car was good.
Yeah, it seemed like you had a fair bit of pace. I believe you actually picked up a little bit of damage early on in the race, and we were commenting at the time that we weren't actually expecting you and a couple of the other more damaged guys to be able to pull their way up towards the leaders, but that's exactly what you did. So, I mean, were you surprised about the pace that you were able to hold relative to the other guys who weren't carrying as much damage?
Yeah, for sure, mate. It seemed to sort of work, split in the middle, to be honest with you, Edward. That's what, you probably see a bit in the replay and on the stream there, that splitting in between the middle there, and I was able to hold that sort of middle line quite confidently and make it three wide around the corners. Now, whether or not the other guys were being a little bit more cautious and backing off, but, that worked for me and I was gaining positions doing so. So, the car, like I said, it did have a little bit of damage, but it didn't seem to make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It was certainly a surprise for us to see. I guess it's such an aero-dependent circuit, but I guess for those guys who don't know, Wayne Pingilly, he not only owns WP Concreting, but also is the owner of Middle Finger Racing. So you had quite a few guys out there tonight who probably had a bit of a mixed bag of fortunes. You had a few guys running towards the front, a few guys that got caught up in a bit of nonsense and so on. I mean, as far as a team performance tonight, I mean, how happy were you with the way that the guys went?
Look, we were stoked, mate, and we had Kai Sloggett there. He sort of fought his way back, and it took him about to lap 40 before he got rid of all the damage on his car. And Stevens, Kai, and myself, and we were looking quite good, mate, to work towards the end. But yeah, it just wasn't to be. I think obviously I had my issues there, and then another car come up, I think, on Dan and Kai. So yeah, a bit of a tough one for the team, but good signs.
Yeah, certainly is. They certainly all had their moments tonight where they were running towards the front of the pack and looked a real threat, including yourself. So I suppose, is there anybody else that you'd like to give a shout out to? I imagine most of the guys will be giving a shout out to you, but I don't think you want to give a shout out to yourself. So is there anybody else that you'd like to give a shout out to while you're here?
Look, mate, obviously all the guys that back us and help us do that, all the guys in the team that do all the hard work, and, we're a fairly new team to iRacing, but, we've got quite experienced sim racers and they're starting to get a feel for iRacing. They're previous league champions on other platforms like R Factor, etc. So, there's no doubt these guys know how to win races and not just races championships. So, shout out to those guys. They're starting to get their head around iRacing and really pushing forward now. Obviously, all the guys that back us, obviously thank my own company, but, Auto King's there for backing us. Brad there, he's great support with any sort of race tops or anything that we need. Check out their website, autokings.com. And obviously West End Mazda, Unfortunately, some of the other guys that were backing us, the racingleagues.com, they've decided to close their league, which is a little bit sad. Most of the MFR guys have come from that league, and some of us actually got into sim racing because of them. So, just a big shout out to all those guys.
All right, plugged like an absolute pro. So, look, thanks very much for popping up here and talking to us. Congratulations to the whole team, and hope to see some of that speed translate into some results in future rounds.
Yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Wayne.
Thanks, guys.
Be there, everyone. So, we'd probably look to wrap it up there. I think that we've long overstayed our welcome on YouTube. It's definitely been a long night tonight with the length of the race and so on and so forth, and definitely a race of attrition. So, I guess in closing, Daniel, looking back over that race and I guess the series that we've had so far, what are you taking away from tonight?
Well, tonight was probably definitely the most nastiest race of them all, I guess, with the amount of caution flags. But it was just interesting. Like, I didn't pick any of those people to sort of be up the front, and the way it played out, with the lap cars sort of getting up there, and it was something I totally didn't expect. And I sort of expected a few more runners up front at the end of the race, but before the wrecks, it just didn't happen to be that way. But definitely an interesting race, nevertheless.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd definitely say the same thing. I mean, it's one of those series as well where obviously Daytona always brings out a big field, and when you get a big field and all the rest of it, there are some guys who perhaps aren't as experienced as some of the other guys, and you do tend to find that these wrecks can happen, and cautions breed cautions, and it can get a little bit messy. But moving on from here, the truck series is going to be going to Kentucky next week. So that's an entirely different style of circuit. Certainly very different to a super speedway. So it's going to take another skill set again from these guys. I'd expect to see probably regular service resumed. I'd expect to see a much better showing from Braden Bullis, our championship leader, than he was able to show tonight. And certainly some of those really fast guys. And I'd imagine some of the Thunder guys will make that particular round one of the 5 that they're allowed to make under Anzcar rules in the truck series as well. So should expect a good field there, and hopefully everybody will join us then.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. 100 laps around Kentucky. It's going to be pretty fun.
All right, so we'll leave it there. Thanks very much to everybody that joined us. This was the first official broadcast from Performance E-Streaming, which is the official broadcaster of Anzcar. Obviously had a few little technical glitches early on in the night. We hope to iron those out, but thanks very much for sticking with us. I think this is just going to get bigger and better and grow with the series from here. So to everybody that was watching, thanks very much and good night.